Hey folks, John Duffin here with Duffin Media. Welcome back to another episode of Your Message Received. Your Message Received is the home, the place, the platform to help you find your best, most true, authentic business voice. Heck, maybe your just true, authentic voice. Get what you want, find what you need, improve your results, make billions of dollars, meet the person of your dreams. That's what today's guests promise us in terms of what he's bringing to the table. I may have heard that wrong, but but what I will say is this. What today's guest brings this, folks, is an inside job, as we're going to call it, because my man who works with me on the podcast gets to be front and center today for a three-peat. Tommy Kenyon, welcome back to the show, man.
Welcome back, and what ways I get to hear myself go after as well, like and actually hear what I have to say
Hmm.
as listening to myself, which I actually like listening to myself. I don't know about watching yet. Maybe this time will be different.
I'm liking the view so far, so that sounds biased because it is, but I am. I'm excited to have you back. And folks, fans of the show, there have been two prior episodes. Again, today being the third round, where Tommy has been on my program, and it's always great. And we talk how we met. Uh, Happened to be in no, that's not true. We met on a virtual call. My man is a tech guru who also does front and center camera work too. And we met as part of a book club in regards to a singular person that we both are a big fan of, Lewis Howes. And Lewis, if you're watching today, thank you for this. But I met Tommy through a Lewis Howes book club for the very first time. And we've gotten to be friends, colleagues. We've gone to a couple of summits together. Um, and Tommy works with me on the podcast. So, brother, um, throw me, because I know a little bit of the backstory, but for those who have not caught up on our first two conversations, talk to me a little bit in regards to how you got yourself rolling professionally. Yeah, we'll start there.
So it's kind of like back to what we don't have to go deep into that, but a conversation I had earlier this morning kind of started the same way.
Hmm.
I walked into this office after immediately graduating college, Sam Houston State. Shout out, Go Bearcats.
There you go.
Gotta get that in.
You have to.
And right out of college, I was job search as every new recent college grad, which I'm currently in again,
Hmm.
a job search,
Hmm.
going out looking for a job. Gotta now you did your learning, you did your thing in college. I found myself in college. I found that I loved editing. Now it's time to go put that experience to work
Hmm.
and reached out. In the job search. All of a sudden, I forget exactly how, but a former classmate who went to school with me, reached out, said, I may have this opportunity. It didn't say it's such as this, but it was for a startup called Sports Now. And if you're ever watching me on YouTube or wherever this is at, sorry for not getting exactly right, but Sports Now, Sports and Web. And as soon as I came in there, I was like, oh, I recognize these websites. I've visited them. I've watched the network that I realized for my entire life because it's been around for 30 years.
Hmm.
And that network, I would go on through changes, through different two, three launches. I've been with that same very network from 2010 all the way to February 2025.
15 years is a long stretch in a very turbulent field. It just is. You just pick up an industry trade
Yeah, it
and you
was
read.
turbulent for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it's known. That's not throwing stones on my part. It is known things change, technology evolves. I'll just, and staying right there, I'll ask you not what's changed in 15 years because no one would have the time to be able to cover that amount of ground. But let me just say, is there something that from those startup days in 2010 that you think about that you were able to accomplish that you can't believe you had, yeah, that you can't believe that you had to invest so much time to accomplish that you could handle in about 1 minute now?
The thought that came, two thoughts, and the
Yeah.
first one it was had to do with the live streaming aspect that we did, that we started before Netflix was popular, and then two, like how complicated can you make a video upload process? We did that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it for by right reasons, the video remained in-house in our facility, the Fox facility. It remained everything started in-house, but it needed watch systems. It needed things to get the video flowing to
Mm-hmm.
the hosting service that we had. But like, yeah, how complicated can you make an upload process, video upload process?
How many people were involved in uploading a video?
In that group, there were, but we had about five to, and not at a time, sometimes on busy days, but we had five edit bays, so at the
Mm-hmm.
most five total, like 10 at the time when they got bigger. When we got bigger, by the time I got there, there were 10 edit bays, but five were used for ingest. So five editors at a time, and then there's in the office, there's we considered it three sections, and there's like a booker, editor, and an editorial who handled copywriting for all the writers around the network on the websites,
Mm-hmm.
and three or four copy desk editors, one or two bookers, five editors at a given time, and there we were a bigger team, but maybe 10 people, 10 to 15 people in the room.
Here's one of the things I think about in regards to, and folks, as I said, we're going to cover momentarily highlights from a specific conference. But what I wanted to also identify too was the ability to be able to ride waves of change. And to me, that's why I was asking the question in regards to the number of people to handle a task. And you say we had 5 editing bays, right? And I believe it. I remember I was on the sales side of television back then, but I certainly knew my way around master control, as it was called. And I can remember that often was a huge space, huge in regards to the equipment, the big bulky equipment and all that stuff was around. And I bring it up because you had said it, that maybe it was 5 up to 10 people, right? What would you say, because before we went live, folks, we were talking about change. And one of the things I think about is in regards to Tommy is a very, 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 as you get to know him, someone who embraces learning. What would you say is one of the things that you have learned over this amount that you feel incredibly grateful because it's enabled you to A, stay in the game, and B, grow and progress?
And I mentioned this, as you said, when we were talking about it
Yep.
before we started recording. I'm grateful for the that complex experience because that's what made me what I am, who I am
Mm-hmm.
today. It would one for that complex uploading system that I just talked about,
Right.
or manually setting up a live stream using
Mm-hmm.
Akamai, a content delivery network, much like Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Set manual a very manual process. If it wasn't for that, I always consider live streaming my bread and butter after that.
Why?
Because I learned all the details that's needed, like stream ID, the I'm drawing a blank right now, but there's so many little like moving parts that's
Right.
needed to just if you're just doing it on YouTube in the back
Hmm.
end on YouTube, even you see those same aspects,
Hmm.
obviously. You stream ID, like all these different things, and I can see it in any platform anywhere, and I'll
Hmm.
recognize, okay, that's where we go for that,
Hmm.
and that to translate that into the next part from what we did a very manual set, and which helped me learn and recognize all these fields to now going into launching the second launch, Fox Sports Go app.
Hmm.
We were setting up a I don't want to say it was automated because it wasn't automated, but it was a good, it was a nice system for sure. Very, very a good setup. It was a nice setup of encoding systems, which gave us encoders that set up for each room. We had about
Hmm.
30 master control suites in the entire building, and each one had their own encoding. They're attached to, and we would essentially send out what was coming out of each master control to the app, and it would air in the app. That was the idea anyway, and then
Hmm.
we got it that way. And that whole system, if I hadn't learned all that stuff that I learned in the manual process, I wouldn't be able to figure out this news because there was you had to do one thing first and then this, and then it was a pecking order of what you need to do to make the live stream work. And if you didn't know the back end of that. That was so important too.
Hmm.
But if you did, it was so much easier, and it's like you really loved that system.
See, one of the reasons I find this so important is the thought running through my mind in regards to just not just authentic communications, which is yes, it's critical to be able to handle a task when someone asks in a process or in a learning experience, hey, here's exactly what you do to make this happen. And do you know how to do it? No, well, I better learn. One of the main things I think about in the learning process, in the ability to be able to continually grow and evolve personally and professionally, is it's not just the steps in the process. One of the things that I think about is I don't have to worry about most of the steps that I was doing that were to me so cumbersome and important, but you learn things along the way, the process, which is what enables you to learn faster, to elevate, to be able to stay and grow in a game. I want to ask you. So I know firsthand, but my information is at least 2 years old now. One of the best learning platforms that I've been able to participate in is the Lewis Howes Summit of Greatness. And one of the cool parts that I get to convey or converse with Tommy are learning takeaways of things that are unique to the conference. And to me, they matter because even if they're unique to a setting, there's so many things that I've been able to absorb over the couple of years that I was there that are transferable and usable. I'm putting you on, well, I'm not putting you on the spot because we already talked about this, but I was going to ask you point blank. Talk to me a little bit in terms of your top takeaways if you were lucky enough to be in Hollywood, California, um, home of the stars, over a couple of days for the 2025 Summit of Greatness. Talk to me.
I want to say this first before I get into, and I have a tearjerker, and if you want to call it a tearjerker,
Sure.
but I wasn't there in the beginning of Summon of Greatness. I wasn't there for the first one, but I
Mhm.
can say I was there for the first one after moved to Los Angeles. And I know a lot
Yeah.
of people were like,
Yeah.
why do you have to move it away from Columbus? I mean, and Lewis actually explained that. It's like, well, one and our colleague, but that you and I both know, Allie, I'll just say her first name.
Hmm.
She's like, she told me to me we're on the ground floor of the
Prior
Dolby
podcast
Theater.
guest, by the
Yeah,
way.
oh,
Right. Go
multiple
ahead.
things in common.
Yep.
she told me Lewis is growing.
Hmm.
He's getting bigger,
Hmm.
and and that's true. Like he went from I forgot what I don't even know. I wasn't even there when it first the in 2015 or 2016. What was that place called? I know. Then there, I think there was another place, and then came Ohio Theater,
Got it.
and that's 2019. That's when it
Hmm.
started for me. But and I don't want to forget oh yeah, that might get to my tearjerker takeaway here
Please do.
after I finish just my history of some of the greatness and the fact that I wasn't there in the beginning, but I was there for the first LA
Hmm.
one
Big
is
deal.
important, and then the first one in Dolby Theater to see and witness the first ever drone shot in the Dolby Theater.
Mm.
That's cool.
Mm. I love it. Walk me through.
First
What,
up, it was,
yeah.
and this was a performer. Walk
Oh,
you
okay.
you what? Sorry, I didn't what walk you through.
No, just so you were
I
saying,
was
walk me through what it felt like. This is a performer. Walk me through.
I was getting yeah to the a performer who came on and yeah, I wasn't expecting this out of a performer, but he came on stage and talked a little bit and was it Kevin Osula? Oh, Pentatonics guy who beatboxing and they travel around, especially around Christmas. So if you're familiar with that, I don't know if I'm saying that name correct, but they're well-known band,
Right.
Christmas
Hmm.
concert,
Yep.
Pentatonics. And he went on stage and you talking about how he got started. And at the end of each School of Greatness podcast, Lewis asks his guests, "What's your definition of greatness?"
Hmm.
And this guy comes on stage with a microphone and says, "Greatness is not sexy. It's reps."
Mm.
What did that tell me immediately when I heard that? And I've been doing it for 3 years on the podcast. Keep going.
Mm.
Reps. Greatness isn't
Hmm.
sexy, it's reps.
That's how did that impact you?
Tearjerker moment, I actually had a tear
Mm.
come down when I heard that. I was like that and I was like telling people that is the best definition of greatness I've ever heard.
So it's a great definition. And folks, a pentatonics Christmas is a big deal in terms of touring bands and all that stuff. So um, they are pretty legendary. So I'm going to ask you, 3 years on the podcast, knowing, and you hear that it's the reps, 3 years for you on your own, right? That folks, like I said, had Tommy has his own series of YouTubes and podcasts. How do you take something like that? It's reps. Um, when you get frustrated or bored or you're not getting the results that you need, what do you do?
So, and that'll actually be going to the second thing later on,
Mhm.
and we can get to that here in a second
Great.
too when you ask me a question on that. But when you think about reps
Hmm.
and it's the idea of keep going if you don't stop, if you're consistent. I heard one the videos I started just watching today, and I've heard it from Lewis. I've heard it from other people I watch connected with YouTube,
Right.
Sean Cannell, and you keep going, you make the reps, stay consistent, and it's that's where the improvement comes.
Hmm.
Keep going, keep doing it, and you'll keep improving.
Hmm.
And you'll learn new things each time you like do something. The especially the most frustrating parts, that's the learning, as Andrew Huberman says,
Mm.
and just going into like little things that and he was actually one of the invitees as well at the
Right.
summit too. The last one, he was actually invited
Hmm.
as a little
As a
podcast record
featured
on
speaker.
stage.
Right.
He wasn't speaking, but I think he likes the podcast setting more because it was
Hmm.
just him and Lewis talking on stage.
Yep.
And he was saying something about the way we learn, the brain neuroplasticity. I
Hmm.
was listening. I was like, oh my God, forgetting the forgetting the what was it? But there was neuroplasticity,
Nice.
and it's to the fact that the way the brain learns
Hmm.
in those aha moments. Like when you make a mistake, are you able to sit back and reflect on mistakes, saying, "Hmm, that didn't work, but I can see how. Aha, that's why. And when you get clarity from the mistake, that's neuroplasticity, as Doctor Andrew Huberman, the
Gotcha.
neuroscientist,
Yeah.
gotta get that doctor in there too.
Well, if you're going to say neuroplasticity, it's neuroplasticity. Might as well get doctor in too.
Yeah.
Uh, that's great. I love hearing that. Tell me another, please.
So that leads on to when we're keeping on the idea of keep going. Now, a little backstory on here. The first time saw and listened to At Summit of Greatness, I don't know when, couldn't have been 2020 or 21. 20, I think it was the first time back. Gabby
Okay.
Bernstein was a speaker.
Hmm.
And during her speech, I do a lot of work with, as you know, and if you heard me in passing, and you know, Toastmasters work, and I was getting these texts during her speech, and I was getting interrupted, and I was like losing the flow of what she was saying the
Hmm.
first time, and I was the second time around, I was making sure that didn't happen.
Hmm.
So her speech when she came on stage, and I was doing this for every speaker too. I was do not disturb,
Hmm.
set the recording on because I like to get audio notes and everything.
Right.
These last two times, and after able to fully listen to her and take notes, she actually had homework at the end, and
Ooh, okay.
her thing was like, get back to me 5 p.m. today. DM me, respond to, which I did. I don't think I saw a response back, but there's probably a lot of people. So she was saying, DM me after we get to the little task, homework, and what she was talking about. It was the theme of the whole thing. It's kind of like goes against it in a way. It was chasing dreams, chase your dreams. That was the theme of this summit.
Hmm.
But I take back as like to it was like a finish the statement. It's not necessarily chase your dreams, it's allow your dreams. It's stop chasing and start allowing because what she was talking about and the eyes of I know we're talking about like keep going, make the reps and everything, but
Right.
stop sometimes, take a break. Maybe it shows up as a break. Like
Okay.
we all need breaks
Hmm.
here, and breaks are good. It gets you to think about the next step, and once we did that, I was okay. Whatever you're doing, stop posting this week. Stop posting today, and whatever you think, whatever comes to you, allow it to come. Let it come in, and really take note what comes to you when you're just sitting there just thinking about it and whatever comes. Later that evening when we were done and we were actually sitting in the hotel lobby of the official hotel,
Yeah.
and well, one of the guys who walked in was Brendan Burchard and Lewis Howes.
Hmm.
I was getting pictures of like
I'd be a little
that's the perk
starstruck.
of any if you're going to any conference event, always hang out in the actual official hotel lobby of
Hmm.
the event.
Hmm.
That's where everyone's at.
Yep.
So Lewis was there. He was on his way out to something that evening, but we had a couple conversations. I sat down with a group that I'd met the previous year at the
Hmm.
Shrine in USC and reconnected with him again, who lives out in LA, and caught up with him. Group of people there sitting around a table, connected with someone else that I'd saw in previous ones as well. And we started talking about AI and tech uses in the corporate world, HR world.
Hmm.
How's HR being affected by AI? We're having those conversations. So
Hmm.
that's something for me that I was taking note. And then another one when dad came, my dad was here for this one, and we were
Hmm.
sitting down with a few people, few attendees as well, and we were talking for I think at least 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, long time. For we just had to say, all right, we're done. We gotta get going back to get ready for the next morning. But we had a great conversation and connecting, and we got all these connections down and everything. And there was some just great connection moments
Do you mind
that
if I
we
ask
had
about
there.
connection moment? Um,
Yeah.
as you reminded me, and I appreciate the ride, the actual ride to the event. Like I said, so you were going. When was the first time you met your dad for the conference? I don't mean ever. I mean for the conference. How did that work? Like because that in itself to me was unusually cool, where you were going and your dad was there and all that stuff. How many conferences has your dad seen?
This was his first.
Love. So I love this. So what was walk? So you were so there were these connecting moments, and you had that conversation. Did you meet at the conference? Did you drive together? How did that go?
So it ended up being like we had the family thing. It's been what I'm hearing from a lot of people when they talk. 2025 has been a hard year, and we've been
Hmm.
having a few deaths in the family, and
Got it.
they've been like making multiple trips, and I was kind of feeling left out. Like, what about me? I'm going through
Hmm.
this job search, feeling left out in a
Hmm.
way, and like my time's coming, my trip's coming, which was September.
Right.
And there was all these trips. They went to New York for this one, and then they went to Arizona, which happened like at the same time. So they immediately adjusted and went there. So like all these trips, I stayed back watching dogs, taking care of job search
Hmm.
duties,
Yep.
learning, doing my YouTube thing, whatever.
Hmm.
My turns now. It's my trip, my turn now.
Yep.
September 8th we started, and it was going to Arizona and then California. We drove, so it's my second time to take do a driving trip to the Summit of Greatness.
Hmm.
First time I drove myself to Columbus. We drove to Arizona, stayed there a couple nights, and then headed for the weekend to California. And then came back and stayed about one more week in Arizona. So it was a whole driving trip.
From
And
that connecting experience, what's one
yeah,
thing that you learned in the connecting experience?
in the connecting experience, the well, the connecting of some people we met up with. Not one thing in particular from there. It's just connecting with different people.
Hmm. What did you learn about each other? Because I always feel like when there's time to connect, that I've, from my own experience, have found that I don't know everything. I just learned something. Literally, I just learned something about my mom when I was with her yesterday that I never knew. And I've lived a fairly long time, and my mom has lived a very long time. And she shared something with me in a conversation. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know that. Was there anything that either felt different or that you learned differently in regards to, and that's why I feel like connection is so strong, because when it's done for a few hours or for a drive, it typically isn't every single bit small talk. Was there anything that you were like you didn't realize that you learned or was reinforced about your relationship?
I think something that comes to mind was maybe a couple weeks before our trip,
Hmm.
and we were talking and getting, I was priming like Dad ready to take in and be open-minded about what you hear kind of thing,
Sure.
and we were having a conversation, and he actually opened up about something that he hadn't really told anyone. That's like he's not proud of what he did and
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
or had to do. What
Hmm.
not? It's not so much what he did, but what he had to do is when he was overseas with the Marines and
Hmm.
over in Iraq and
Hmm.
Afghanistan, and he did. If he hadn't done it, he wouldn't be here today. So
Hmm.
like he had to do it, but he wasn't
Hmm.
proud that he did it kind of
Right.
way, and it maybe could be PTSD, but I'm not a doctor. I'm just thinking that's one potential that could be. But yeah, he shared something that he didn't like to talk about. He shared something with me on that.
I think it's just one of those things where, as I said, it's maybe it's they're not the most powerful things, but I think that is a great example to me, where it's like you get to continually learn and walls drop and all that sort of thing. I love the fact that when you talked about Gabby Bernstein, that you were saying that, this time I was fully focused and do not disturb and all that sort of thing. And so you get this opportunity to learn from everyone around you, including from a family member that you've obviously known all your life. And it's like, and you still get to learn. And I think that part's great. What else from the conference jumped at you, or that you felt like once you got home, that it was like, oh, this matters to me. I can work with this.
So taking that, I now after listening to Gabby Bernstein, and I
Right.
call it taking a step back,
Okay.
stopping, pausing. There's magic in the pause.
Mm.
When you pause and you just let things come to you. We got back to Arizona,
Mm-hmm.
and this is literally like still that same coming from that same thing from Gabby Bernstein and my experience.
Mm-hmm.
We get back to Arizona. It's 2 days before we're actually gonna head back to Texas. I was opening up YouTube. I see a few people who I've been friends with. I've known actually exactly September 30th of last year. I've known since then. I met at the YouTube challenge last year, and we're still
Right.
connected. We're going even further now. I knew this, and I kind of stepped away from this. But this guy was who I've been partnering with has been trying to find how can we be more visible on YouTube? How can we do this?
Okay.
How can we do that? And he came across. And I haven't figured out myself. Otherwise, I'd probably be in different spaces right now too. And I'm getting there.
Mm, yeah.
That can I see the magic of the pause. I'm the king of the pause. But there's a thinking. Let's see thinking moment here. I was I was allowing this to come to me, and we, Tommy, we kind of breaked out. They had a breakout like live stream one night with like 3,000 views and whatever, but
Right.
they figured out something that's including metadata in your live streams
Mm-hmm.
and tags, metadata, not just high volume search. Keep in mind and that's what I was doing before this recording too,
Mm-hmm.
looking at search. What are people searching for? What are people talking about currently? Because that's what matters. If you want to be visible, like this is all coming to me
Mm-hmm.
when I'm
From
like
the pause.
from the pause, yeah, and we're back in Arizona,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, dude, like we entered these keywords, and man, I broke YouTube. I figured out YouTube. That's usually what it's saying to me anyway. Not quite there yet, but you gotta. but it's only like half the step. You set this up, you set up all your metadata and YouTube and everything, and then the other part is you be you, you do you.
Hmm.
That's setting up the algorithms to say help people find you, and then
Hmm.
you do the part in keeping them. It's by your performance on video and what value you're adding to the video. So that's so this was only half the battle. The other battle is finishing and following through and
Right.
delivering.
Tommy, I so acknowledge that you said something a few minutes ago in regards to this topic. Where like when you said 2025's been hard, lost a few people. So I first off, I truly acknowledge that, in the sense that I won't share this just to compare, you know what I mean, or compete. It has been hard for me. I'm just going to speak for me. It has been hard, um, with family stuff, and one of the reasons I really admire when you talk about like acknowledging or allowing, I'm sorry, allowing the pause, is that that's hard for me personally. That's hard for me. Now, it doesn't mean I don't stop, but I think there's a big difference between stopping and pausing. And I think that's one of the things that I'm looking to improve upon. When I get bottled up, jammed up, I stop. Doom scroll, I mean, all that sort of thing. Freeze, doom scroll. Um, Things don't get done, or I'm just keeping busy. Got to go see this person. Got to go talk to that. Like it's just motion, and I think you reminded me, and it's really important. Selfishly, I'll steal this, which is that sense of allowing the pause. When you were saying that, right? And you were bringing up the YouTube example and all that sort of thing, and that you're using the metadata. That I love that you say I figured out YouTube. I think it's great. That almost brought a tear to my eye. That's great, because the problem, and I have dealt with it, which is the stopping allows nothing new to come. Like the stopping because you're either just going through the motions or doing busy work or maybe freaking out, is that nothing new comes. You're just like putting out fires, batting at, or trying. And so I love that reminder. I was picturing like when I'm at my best, when I'm at my most creative, when I'm at my most, you know, business centric, like when I'm at my best, and I'm connecting the best, I can picture when I do pause and I can picture where I am when I've done it and I can picture how it goes. You know what I can really picture? How easy it is when you allow it to happen. And I've learned for me why I think your reminder is so powerful is the key is you even use the words allow. And for myself personally, at least recently, I haven't allowed it. I haven't allowed it. And I think that's why one of the things that I wanted to be able to draw, I wasn't thinking this. I'm thinking top tips, but you just said something really powerful to me because there's an ease in allowing something to happen. There is an ease because you embrace the thought, you get to use the thought. If I heard correctly, you said, hey, and then I went on and I'm meeting with these people. We've got this thing with 3,000 people and we're utilizing these thoughts and I'm moving. Um, I think that's great because at the beginning of the episode, I was talking about that sense of the difference between learning things that really matter that you can transfer to whether it was 15 years through your first rhythm of professionalism to 2025 and beyond is the sense that there is inherent skills that you can learn that are different than simple task oriented touch this button, move this thing, move all, and I feel like conferences like Summit of Greatness and all of the ancillary stuff around it enable you to get to do that. And I really admire the fact that you were able to show up for that. And who more deserving? Like I said, you've done a ton for me. So my acknowledgement to you is the fact that that's a really powerful takeaway. Is there anything that I left out that you would want to cover? Because I think that was a beautiful perspective and a really helpful one for me and my audience.
I would say like the key part was to stop, listen,
Mm,
and allow.
mm,
And I might have left out the listen part, but stop, listen, let it come, listen, and then allow it in
mm.
instead of chasing. You're chasing this. You're posting every day. You're posting. Stop that, listen, allow, and then act on that thing that you're allowing to come in.
Oh my God. I love it. Uh,
From Gabby Bernstein.
and from Tommy Kenyon. I mean it, right? Like it's to me, it's coming. You allowed it to come in, and now you're able to share freely with my audience. Tommy Kenyon, thank you for being here today. I think that's a really cool and a powerful bunch of info and insight that you were able to deliver. You've helped me tremendously, and I'm grateful that you helped my audience today too. Thank you.
Yeah, it's always fun talking about some of the greatness
Mm.
recaps like that, and enjoy and look forward to the next thing I can allow.
Oh, that's so awesome. Folks, allow yourselves the opportunity to come up with your next great ideas. Give me the steps one more time before you said stop, listen.
Stop chasing, listen to what universe, God, whoever
Mm,
you listen to,
mm,
you stop chasing, listen
mm,
to what the universe is telling you, allow it,
mm.
and take action from there.
That's awesome. Tommy Kenyon, thank you so much. And folks, thanks for watching another episode or listening, depending on which way you're doing this. Thanks for checking out another episode of Your Message Received. Keep liking, watching, listening, sharing, and we'll keep driving content through your front door. John Duffin here with Duffin Media. Have a great rest of the day, all, and we will talk soon. Be well. Bye.